Hey there, how you doing? Welcome back to the Goodview Woodworks channel. My name is Nathan, and here is Tuesday Live. Um, Jeremy, how you doing? Mountain View Turning, how you doing? Jolie, hello. Um, Jolie says Nathan must be having some net issues. Nope, we're having some baby issues. But I think she's doing a little bit better now. Keith says might have got lost. No, I didn't get lost. All right, guys. So how you guys doing? Renee Porter says, "Hey there." Hey, mom. DK says, "Hey, good to see you. Hey, good to see you too, DK." So, can you guys hear me? Okay. If you can, let just let me know here in the comments. Aaron says, "Change those poopies." Yeah. Yep, that's what it was. What up? Harold says, "What up, Nathan? How you doing, Harold?" So, guys, if you have seen the thumbnail, you would know that you see those pretty cool slabs there. So I was able to pick up those slabs recently. Actually, my father-in-law picked them up in Detroit and brought them down to Virginia, and we have some really cool plans coming up for those tables. They are like dining room table size. Nick Sheldon has been running all day and mostly all night. Wow. Michael says hello, Nathan. And is it Grider House Woodcrafting? Hear you loud and clear. Well, guys, I really, really appreciate that, and I'm glad you clicked on this video tonight, and I'm glad you're here with Shop Talk Tuesday. There's a couple of things that I have been learning and that I want to share with you guys, especially when it comes to prepping the slab. So one of the things that I've noticed recently, I spoke with some guys over at Black Forest Wood Company, and if you know, they are pretty much the ones that kind of pioneered the way for the epoxy river tables. Jolie says live chat is not keeping up. What do you mean? So they're the one. Black Forest Wood Company is the ones that have pioneered the river table scene pretty much, and so I've been talking with them because I've noticed on some of their projects that they never seal the edges of their work. So I asked a few questions, and essentially the response that I got was that they never seal the edges. Unless the slab is too thick and the epoxy will generate too much heat, and we're talking like 4 inches thick here. And at that point, they prep the edges by doing a seal coat, but waiting till it's like taffy and then pouring the river. Now they say that the problem is they don't have super good adhesion. They don't have super good adhesion, and that over time it can separate. So I want to go over a few things with you guys that I've learned here and talking with him that I want to share with you guys. So Jolie says didn't see most of those comments you mentioned, but rock on. Yeah, Joe. Yeah, it's in the feed from my perspective. So appreciate you letting me know though. So I've had a few comments asking about can you leave on the bark, and obviously most of us know you don't want to leave on the bark because the bark doesn't have a good bond with the slab. But the guy from Black Forest did show me a picture of about, I think it was like 2 years after they poured this river table, and the epoxy had started to separate from the river. So like if you saw the side profile of the slab, right where the river was, it started to separate, and there was like a 1/16 inch gap. Now, on the underside of their slabs, they have steel bar that goes across, like flat bar, and it's drilling to the bottom, but it's also part of the leg, so that keeps everything together. But he said that that they don't seal the edges because of that issue. Now, what he said to overcome that was that they use an epoxy that cures very, very slowly. And the way they get it to cure slowly is they keep the temperatures down around 60 degrees Fahrenheit, 60 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit in their pour room, and that keeps it. It usually makes the epoxy take like 3 days to cure, 3 full days, 3 to 4 days before they can pop it out of the mold. And what that does is because it cures so slowly, it allows all the air to rise out of um, the edges and cure with no bubbles. So it seems to be really, really cool. So what I did was the Incredible Solutions epoxy, the ones we're using in this most recent build with the side tables. I did the same thing. It's kind of cool up here in my office and the front rooms of our house because until I finished the office, this was like storage for all the materials we're using for redoing our home, and we have the vents closed and everything that out here. But it also stays rather cool out here too. So I decided to pour in the front room, and so far it's taken several days to cure. Now it's starting to get hard now. I'd say the next couple of days we'll be able to pull it out of the mold. But I did not seal the edges and I have 0 bubbles. So if you guys didn't see that video that I posted yesterday, go check it out because it seems to be really, really cool process. And I want to try it on a much bigger slab because that is one thing that I am worried about is over time, over years, this is relatively new when it comes to pouring river tables and everything like that. So I want to make sure that the product, we want to make sure that the product that we share to our customers is a good product and it doesn't, we don't want it to separate over time. Tammy Klein says, hello, Nathan. And Richard says, hello, Nathan. How are you guys doing? I'm glad you're here this evening. So if you guys, real quick, if you guys want to hit that like button and do that for me so that it puts the video up higher in the queue, that'd be great. And also, guys, don't be afraid to post a comment if you have any questions on what I'm talking about here. Feel free to leave a comment and ask as many questions as you need. I know I went on a little bit of a rant there, but I wanted you guys to kind of learn some of the same things that I'm learning here. And because we always want a good product, we want to be able to improve our craft. So, and that's what I'm doing is I'm improving my craft, and I want to share that with you guys as well. Also, if you guys have been over to the Goodview Woodworks website, it's goodviewwoodworks.com. We actually we're having to change some of the stuff with the epoxy pigments, the pigment powders. So they are actually unavailable for the moment, but it should be open up by the end of the week. Probably in the next day or two, actually. They should be up and going there. So if you guys don't know, we have 50 different colors, which is really cool. And we had a few orders already. Nick Shelton, he's watched. I don't know if he's received his yet, but he did place an order. And he usually shows up every Tuesday on the Shop Talk Tuesday. And I'm curious to see how he liked his pigment. So JD says, man, would like to talk to you over the phone or phone or something, been watching all of your videos and want to start my own business doing stuff like what you're doing. Well, JD, I appreciate that. I don't actually do a lot of over the phone calls because, there are a lot of people that do try to contact me. And to be honest, just blowing up, my personal phone. Maybe I will get a business phone soon, and then maybe we could work out something like that. But as far as with my personal phone, I would rather just text back and forth via Instagram, direct message, or Facebook, or something like that. But I would like to, if you want to talk, totally could do that. Greg says, what should I buy first? A good quality joiner, good quality bandsaw, or a nice track saw? I'm a hobbyist woodworker, but looking to build more projects. Love your channel. Hey, Greg, I really appreciate it. So what I would say was I use my bandsaw a lot. So I'd say a bandsaw and or um, uh, what was the last thing you said? To a track saw. Yes, I would choose between a track saw and a bandsaw because a track saw is really you can break down a lot of stuff with a track saw, like sheet goods or slabs or things like that. So a track saw would probably be near the top of my list, and also a bandsaw because I've cut a lot of things with my bandsaw. It's very very useful. As far as a joiner goes, I actually bought an old joiner on Craigslist for like 60 bucks and has a 6-inch wide blade on it. Works great. And I never had any problems with buying a used one. Hopefully that helps. JD says from Kingsville, Texas. Well, I'm glad you're on here tonight, JD. Jolie says this will help with us part timers who didn't want to keep our shops at 70 degrees in the winter when not being used. Will really help me. Can't cure at lower temperatures like 45 or 50, and it take longer. Yes, yes. So pretty much at 45 or 50 degrees, it will set up, but it'll be very rubbery and squishy. It will not set up fully in 45 to 50 degree weather. So you will have to raise the temperature a little bit, at least to around 60 or 65 degrees, and it will take a while to set up. I'm having problems also in my shop because my shop is not heated unless I use a propane heater, and I had problems with also with another customer with his table with just not fully setting up. So you guys, we do want it to fully set up. So once it gets to that rubbery point, no more air is going to come out of it. At that point, you can raise the temperature and get it to fully cure. Jeremy said, I saw. Let's see. I saw or read somewhere that if you leave the bark on, that it still continues to expand or grow and will eventually start cracking and fall off. Hey, Jeremy, yes, that is totally true. However, if you fully encapsulate the wood with epoxy, like let's say you had like a 16th of an inch all the way around the whole entire slab, it literally the bark cannot fall off because the wood cannot expand and contract because you have sealed it completely um, from the movement because it's not introducing more moisture or moisture is not escaping from the wood. It can't. So as long as it's dry and you fully encase the thing in epoxy, it literally cannot move. Melissa says, I discovered your channel this weekend and I've been watching nonstop. I'm loving learning all this stuff and super excited to start my own projects. Your videos have been so informative and helpful. Melissa, I really, really appreciate that. So what do you plan on doing for your first project? Harold says, have you ever shaped a river for a cheese board with a jigsaw for a river pour? Will it look good if it's not going to be see-through? No, Harold, I have never done that. And the reason is sometimes it's hard to make a faux river because it does look man-made. But having said that, I'm sure I've seen a lot of people do some really intricate designs using a jigsaw or bandsaw, and it does look really cool. And yes, I would say that if you did that, I would not go with a clear epoxy. I would do a colored epoxy, and should look really really good. Uh, Autistic Bro says hello from Australia. Keep up the awesome channel. Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. Mark says, hey, Nathan from Indiana. Hey, Mark, how you doing? JD says, obviously don't say out his email, but if you can get with me on email, he would appreciate it. Okay, JD. Yeah, let me get that real quick. I'll take a screenshot so I don't lose it in the queue. Let's get that real fast. All right, JD, I'll send you out an email and we can talk. Melissa says charcuterie board will be the first epoxy project. Okay, Melissa, that's really cool. Well, look, would you do me a favor, Melissa, and go? I don't know if you have Facebook or Instagram, but when you do finally work on your project, complete it, share some pictures over at the Goodview Woodworks community group. I'm sure all of us would love to see what you make with your first project. William Wagman says, "Whoa!" On the office one, the new desk. Yeah, so um, you can't see it, but yes, do you guys remember that video with the desk? It is my office desk is it's really awesome. I love it. DK says, "Any way to send pics to you?" Yeah, so DK, you can go on Instagram at Goodview Woodworks. You can send direct message me pictures there, or also on Goodview Woodworks community group. You can post pics there, or we have a Facebook page, Goodview Woodworks, and that has a private message as well. And JD said, "Thanks so much. I appreciate the help." No problem. Tammy Klein says, "My husband bought me a wood lathe. I would like to try turning a goblet or a bowl made from wood and epoxy. I've been having fun with it. Haven't really made anything yet." Okay, Tammy, that's pretty cool. I also have a lathe, and I have turned a few things out of wood. As far as epoxy and wood, I've only done a few things, but it is fun, and I would recommend if you are turning something with wood and epoxy, I would go with a carbide cutter with a negative rake. It saves your traditional turning tools from dulling, and also the negative rake will give you really clean ribbons and it won't chip out so much. If you use just a regular flat uh, carbide cutter, it tends to chip and break away instead of cutting it clean. So that's just a tip for you whenever you do turn a wooden epoxy bowl. Jolie says, "By the way, final pour didn't go perfect on the coffee table. Got to send again and do one more skim coat due to dimples and one spot that I torched too much. Practice makes better." Hey, Joe, I appreciate you telling us that. Yeah, practice definitely makes better. I have totally made mistakes before. And the good thing with epoxy is you can just sand it down and recoat it. So not a big deal. William Wagner says, "Yeehaw, Tammy, it's fun and messy. Woo woo." Okay, thank you, Tammy says. Um, yeah, guys. So that's also. So I wanted to tell you, a friend of mine showed up at my work the other day, and her husband has really big gauges in his ears. I think they're like an inch and a half. And they asked me to. Hopefully, they don't see this. Hopefully, they don't watch this video. But anyway, she asked me to make some gauges for him for Christmas. So I'm excited to do a couple of sets, one straight wood and one, I think she said one just wood and one wood and epoxy. So I'm excited to do the wood and epoxy set on the lathe. It seems not too hard, pretty simple, but fun nonetheless. Michael says, "I just finished a cutting board with epoxy pour. Your videos really helped. I'll send you some pics on Facebook." Hey, Michael, I appreciate that. Yeah, if you don't mind, go to the Goodview Woodworks community group and post there. I'm sure everyone would like to see. If you don't want to do that, a direct message would be great. I would love to see for sure. California Critic says, "Nathan, have you ever made coasters out of epoxy?" Yes, I have. I actually have a video of that as well. If you got, it's kind of far back in my videos, but yeah, if you go do that, if you go through there and search, I did do a video on coasters. They came out really nice. What I did was I just took a bunch of scrap pieces that I had laying around the shop and jammed them in a cup, and I had some leftover epoxy, and I just poured it in and happened to make some coasters out of it. I poured it in an old milk carton. Milk cartons have wax on the inside, so the milk doesn't absorb into the paper, and it was awesome. It peeled right off, no problems. RB says, "Where can I find slabs of wood? Are there any types of wood that will not work with epoxy?" RB, great question. So if I were you, I would search near you local listings on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist and type in slabs, and you'll be surprised at what you find on there. We have some local lumber mills here in Virginia. There's two of them within 40 minutes from my house. And that's where I get my stuff from local guys. As far as any types of wood that you don't want to work with, I would say I haven't come across any woods that won't work with epoxy. The only thing that won't work is if you have a wood with a lot of moisture in it. You want to make sure that your wood is dry. And what I mean by dry is it has to be at least 12% moisture content or below. And the way that you find that out is you can buy a moisture meter. They have them on Amazon, and they also some paint stores have them. But yeah, you can get them on Amazon, and they work really well. They have some of them have probes, and you jam them into the wood, and it gives you a reading that way. And some of them you just place on top, and it was able to read the moisture content. Tammy says, yes, it is messy and it's definitely fun, William Wackman. Greg says, what deep pour epoxy brand do you recommend? So I will recommend a couple of brands. Obviously, Stone Coat Countertops, one of my all-time favorites. They have what they call Supercast, and that is a really good brand. I've used that. I've only had one issue, and that was when it was really hot in my shop. It was like 80 or 85 degrees outside. Well, it was 90 degrees outside, and it was like 90 degrees in my shop. And I poured it 2.5 inches thick, which also generates more heat, and it did crack on me. I had a big crack, probably about a 1/2 inch wide by like 6 inches long, 7 inches long. The good thing was I didn't take it out of the mold. I just filled the crack up, and luckily it was. If you guys have seen the video, it's on the conference table, and luckily it was just black epoxy, so I was able to fill it in, sand it down, and never even knew it was there. So that was the only issue. You have to be careful with temperature. You don't want it to be too hot, because if the epoxy cures too quickly, you get a lot of bubbles and you can get cracking. As far as another brand that I would recommend, I'm going to be right back and I will show you. This brand right here, pourable plastic. It's by Incredible Solutions. And Incredible Solutions, I've used their tabletop epoxy, and they're a good product. I would not say they're a super great product. Like, what I mean by that is I don't think it has the same UV inhibitors and things in it, but I would totally use it. I've used it a bunch of times. It's really, really good. But I really like their casting epoxy because it sets up really, really slow, and I haven't had any bubbles, and it was really easy to work with. So I'd totally recommend that for a deep pour epoxy. Thanks for asking, Greg. Harold says, have you tried Incredible Solutions' new plastic casting resin? Does it work well? Hey, Harold. Here it is, right here. Yes, it works really well. I really like it. And you know what's really cool too is it's easier on the wallet than some of the other deep pour epoxies. Tammy says, thank you, Nathan, for the tip on the epoxy and wood. What kind of tool to use? Oh, no problem, no problem. It took me a second there. Sorry about that. William says, seems like the YouTube connection is better in your office, by the way. Well, hey, William, I appreciate that. There is something else too. Right now, we haven't run out of our data. So that's probably the other reason why it's a little bit better. California Critic says, don't forget to hit the thumbs up for Nathan. Hey, California Critic, I really appreciate it. Yeah, guys, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up. That would be super great. William says, makes sense. Yeah, hey, William. So they're actually going to be building a Verizon tower like almost in our backyard here soon. So hopefully we won't have any bad streaming, and I can get high-speed internet. Aaron says, actually in the middle of 2 walnut epoxy pours right now, making a few serving boards for customers. That's really, really cool. Speaking of that, I am going to be doing a video soon of how to batch out some boards like that. And so I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be later on in the future. And also, what I wanted to bring up too is the Cheapskate Challenge. Some of you guys are new on here. Cheapskate Challenge, we've done a couple in the past. Essentially what that is it's just a challenge that I present, and we take about a month to complete the challenge, and it's just for you guys to do something artistic with epoxy, whatever you want to do. But there is like a cheapskate, which the reason why we came up with that was because because we were trying to get away with doing the cheapest project possible, so the name just stuck. But if you guys want to get started, we're actually going to do the next cheapskate challenge will be at the end of January, and it'll start in January. But if you guys want a head start, the next cheapskate challenge is going to be an epoxy project. But the trick is you have to use some construction grade 2x4. That's the stipulation, and that's what makes these contests fun. Is that there's going to be some weird item that you have to use, and this one is not super weird, but we don't always use construction grade lumber, especially for epoxy stuff. So that's the only rule. We don't have a dollar limit this time like we did last time. So the thing is, you have to make an epoxy project, but you have to incorporate a construction grade 2x4 somewhere in the project. So as far as that goes, guys, we can. If you guys want to do that, that would be, that'd be really cool. See how many people we can get entered into the contest. Now, I think what we're going to do is for the giveaway. So whoever wins the cheapskate challenge, I'm going to send out some Goodview Woodworks pigments, and that way you guys get a chance to test out and try some of my pigments as well. S2 Pallet Wood says, "What was the name of the wood store that you went to in Richmond?" Excuse me. The name of that was Urban Forest Hardwoods. He has a huge selection of different wood slabs over there. But so I really like his selection that he has. And then also there's one in Yorktown. But I don't know if they have a website as of yet. But if you go back to the video where I was planing down the conference table, with the Black River, I list his information there. Corey Patrick is his name, and I think you can find him on Instagram at co_pat, and you can direct message him there. Tom says, "Watching your videos have inspired me. I went to a somewhat local sawmill here in Northern Virginia and bought a small piece to do a resin river cutting board. Thanks." Hey, no problem, Tom. If you ever have any questions, feel free to hit us up on social media, Instagram or Facebook, or the Goodview Woodworks community group on Facebook. Aaron Hungate says, "Going off the wall and using black diamond pigment, ghost blue, and a small dab of cotton candy, essentially pink. Yikes." Well, Aaron, I would really like to see that. So whenever you finish that, post a picture on the community group. That'd be great. Aaron D. Stupid question, but is construction grade just a 2x4 from Lowe's? Yes. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I wanted to be specific with construction grade because a 2x4 could be, it could be something off the sawmill, down the street, cut into a 2x4. So I wanted to say something that you get from the department store. That's why I specified construction grade. So yeah. William says, "Does it have to be a new 2x4 or will an old one suffice?" That's a good question, William. I would say that a new one would be harder to work with, but if you have an old one, that's fine too. S2 Palwood says, "I'm in between Richmond and DC." Yeah, so down there in Richmond, Urban Forest Hardwoods, he has a great selection. I would definitely check him out. He has a website too. I think if you search Urban Forest Hardwoods, his website will pop up, and you can get his information from there and give him a call. RB says, "As you build your channel, think about building a store on Amazon, etc. That way you can send your fans there for your favorite supplies and materials." Hey, RB, if you I have started doing that. If you go over to my website, goodviewwoodworks.com, I do have some suggested products already there on the website that you can click, and it will take you over to Amazon. So I am setting that up. But I appreciate the tip. But I am working on that. Aaron Hungay says, "Will do, Bubba." And William Wagman, what's up with the face palm, bro? Aaron D says, "Okay, so rough cut would get me eliminated." Yes, yes, that would get you eliminated. And David says, "New 2x4. Everyone starts the same." That's right. I'm really excited to see what you guys post too. And when we do when the contest technically starts, it'll be January 1st, and we will do the last Saturday of the month. That will be the end date for the Cheapskate Challenge 3. So just so you guys can put that down in your calendar. And I'm excited to see your projects too. So yeah, so it'll start January 1st and we'll end the last Saturday of January. William says, "Cheap is key, nothing better than free." That's right. Hey man, you're a poet and didn't even know it. Mel says, "I love how you link the tools you use in your videos. By the way, it's helped me so much. Just bought a heat gun based on your recommendations of one of your videos." Yeah, Mel, so that heat gun is super cheap, but it has been working for me for years and I haven't had any problems with it. So yeah, I appreciate that. And I try to do that. I try to do that on every video. But sometimes YouTube does frown on linking Amazon because they want everybody to stay on YouTube. They don't want people to leave YouTube. So I've been trying to cut the links down, ones that I don't necessarily need, but I feel like you guys need. I'll still post them up. William S says, "How do you feel about Osmo finishes?" So they are really great. I've only had a chance to use them one time with a friend of mine who had some, but yeah, they're great product. William says, "Word to the mother." Kevin says, "Hi, how you doing, Kevin?" And Michael says, "Couldn't figure out how to post pics on the community group. My wife posted it to your Facebook." Sorry, that's okay. No worries there. I think what it is because we have to. It's a closed group, so I have to accept whoever comes on there and requests. That's probably why you couldn't post. But let me see if you have sent a request. Yeah, Mel, there you go. You asked to join. I'll go ahead and accept it so that way you can post pictures there as well. You guys have, let's see. So how do you guys feel about the prize? Would you like pigments, the Good View Woodworks pigments, or would you guys rather like a t-shirt or something? Let me know. Okay, whoever's requested, I approved it on Facebook, so you should be able to post there now. I appreciate you guys sending pictures. I always love seeing your projects and stuff like that. And I know that we have about 150 people on the community group, and they all love seeing your stuff as well. Aaron D says, "Can the 2x4 be cut to 1x2?" Aaron, yeah, as long as you start out with a construction grade 2x4, you can do whatever you want with it. Michael says, "Definitely pigments." Okay. Tammy says pigments. Okay, that's good. I'm glad that you guys are wanting that. So let me see here. Reach back in my drawer. Show you one of these things that I'm pretty excited about. I don't know if you guys can see this, but here's all the sample. These are all 50 colors. And one I'm really excited about that I'm going to be using here soon is this one right here, which is the Sparkle Additive. And I'm excited to use this because I think we're going to do some sort of black galaxy top on one of our dressers that we have at the house. My wife asked if we could refinish the top of one of her dressers. She didn't like the finish, and we may do some sort of black Galaxy. So I'm really excited to use the sparkle additive. Um, it'll be really fun. Uh, William says, so with 1 to 2 inch pours for either a river table or some other fill type project, what do you like best for less bubbles? So I'm guessing that's you're asking what type of epoxy. So the two that I recommend are Goodview. Oh my word, Stone Coat countertops, Supercast, and the Incredible Solutions uh, pourable plastic clear casting resin. I also recommend this one. Great question. Um, Keith says, I think pigments would be better. T-shirt will fade after a while. Pigments last forever. Yeah, they do. Until you run out, till you've used them and sold all your pieces. At that point, you need to get some more. California Critic says pigments for those pigments for those pigs. Hey, that's that's a dad joke if I've ever heard one. Pigments for those pigs with bad breath. Jolie says, by the way, multiple listings in the northern Ohio area for walnut and ambrosia maple slabs for extremely great prices. Do a search on Facebook Marketplace within 15 miles of Ashland, Ohio. Hey, Jolie, I really appreciate that. Guys, yeah, check that out if you're close to that area. Ambrosia maple is really pretty. As a matter of fact, I built our dining room table out of ambrosia maple, no epoxy, and it's a very pretty table. So I really like ambrosia maple. Tammy Klein says glitter can be added to epoxy, right? Tammy, yes, yes, it can. The only issue is glitter tends to be heavy, and it will sink to the bottom if you're pouring anything that, like if you're casting anything, you're doing a thick pour, it will sink to the bottom. So the trick is to wait a few hours into the pour and stir it to get the pigments to float back to the top. And so when you wait a few hours, you want to make sure that it's thick, like thicker than normal, almost like honey. That way, when you stir them, it'll still settle flat, but then your pigments will stay suspended. Great question. Um, well, guys, that's going to be it for tonight's Shop Talk Tuesday. I'm glad that you all showed up, and thank you for asking questions. I really appreciate it. It's one of my favorite times during the week. So thank you for joining us. I just want to remind you guys, go over to the Facebook Goodview Woodworks community page, and also Instagram. Follow me there, and check me out on YouTube. Obviously, you're here now, so but check out some of the newest projects that I've posted. But guys, you have a great evening, and thanks for hanging out with us. Let me get to one more. Let me get to one more comment. It says. Autistic Bros says, how do I post pics? Do you have an email? I make lighting resin river tables out of old furniture. Email if you can. Okay, Autistic Bro, I will do that. So Richard, I will definitely do that. I will send you an email. But yeah, Richard, if you can go to Facebook or Instagram, Goodview Woodworks, you can send me a private message there as well. All right, guys, you have a good evening. And once again, thanks for hanging out with us.